let's talk NWSL because there have been some trades and transfers and things that have happened in the free agency and contract update world. The biggest news that dropped earlier this week is that U.S. women's national team forward Midge Purce has re-signed with Gotham FC to a new one-year deal. Darian, this is important for Gotham because they have seen a lot of turnover in this offseason. From the 2023 championship winning team, 7 of the 11 starters are no longer on the roster. But now they get Midge Purce again, and it's coming a little bit later in the game, right? This is preseason has already started. Perhaps a strategic move by Purce, but this is huge for Gotham ultimately.
Huge for Gotham. I mean, just thinking about how many players are now gone. What did you say, 7 out of 11, Lisa?
Yes, of the starters from their championship winning game.
Yeah, it's crazy to not retain that many from your championship team. Yes, of course, Ali Krieger retired, but looking at this last offseason, the mass exodus from Gotham, they have a lot of places to fill. Champagne problems from this last year, I think we can all speculate. I'm going to say bled into those decisions of players departing and leaving and seeking opportunities elsewhere. You needed somebody that you can focus on that has the culture identity of that championship team that Gotham won. And Midge Purce, MVP of the match, with 2 assists, and she was slicing and dicing people. I think we've seen that was the best form we've seen. That stretch was the best form we've seen Midge Purce play in, and they need somebody like that that can offer something different because you got
Mhm.
rid of your speed and your goal scoring ability and 1v1 ability in Lynn Williams. You've lost Crystal Dunn, that veteran mentality, the solid, versatile player that she is. You need somebody like Midge Purce that can stay around, knows how to rally the team. And she's such a talented player. I think if she's picking up where she left off, which it looks like she is, she looks fit, she looks technical, she looks like she's finishing well. This is going to be the Midge Purce that we saw right before she went down with her injury. And that's going to be, I think, a really big game changer for Gotham and also a signal that not everyone's leaving. This is okay. But
Mhm.
I also, to your question of her signing late, I kind of like it. I mean, she's at Paris Fashion Week and
I
killing
do
it, and at
too.
sitting courtside in Jumpman, like pop off, girl, like do your thing. I like seeing that women's soccer. You can kind of play the game a little bit, especially when
As you
negotiating.
should.
When you have the ability to do so, you see the male players do that all the time. So
Mhm.
why not?
Absolutely, but she only signed a one-year deal, which is to me says that she's keeping the door open for herself to do what she needs to do and go where is best for her and her career. Other big news in the NWSL, Angel City, they have acquired from Bay FC defender Savvy King. She is an LA native, and this is a trade that came with Bay in exchange for 200,000 in interleague transfer funds plus $100,000 that will come in 2026. So the young defender headed south to LA. Another defender making moves, Abby Urseg, defender who was with Racing Louisville last year, has signed with Mexican club Toluca FC. So other players going to Liga MX Femenil, expanding their reach. Big additional news that we're just gonna keep touching on here. Denver FC. We talked to Jordan earlier in the week, Jordan Angeli, but the new NWSL franchise has received 5,280 season ticket deposits, and they don't even start until 2026. This sets an NWSL record as the fastest expansion franchise to eclipse 5,000 deposits for season tickets. Holy cow, the Mile High Supporters Club is going to be popping off come 2026 when the season starts, Sandra. I'm so excited for them. This is huge.
Mile High Supporters Club, bring it. Listen, they
Amazing.
still got a year. They've got a year build up to when they kick off. So I can only anticipate that that number is going to rise and get higher and higher. Hopefully, they crack the double digits. I mean, there's a lot of ambition from this club and NWSL as a whole to try to make sure
Mhm.
that they keep making records as far as attendance and fans in the turnstiles. So this will hopefully be another one of those markets that can help them kind of level out and raise that average. But Lisa, I can't believe you didn't ask me about the Liga MX Femenil stuff because you know what that means. Once you got players from NWSL going to Liga MX Femenil, what's the formula? That's
Is
the
it
best
the
league in the
best
world
league in
right
the world
now.
now?
Now the crown Now the crown belongs to Mexico. That's just how it goes. So it went from NWSL to WSL in England. Then it went to France. Then it was Saudi Arabia. Now it belongs to Mexico.
Now it's in Mexico. That's absolutely hilarious, Sandra. Thank you so much for just leaning into that joke because people on the internet are insane. I love you all. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, let's talk team needs. We are diving deep into North Carolina Courage. We are hitting every single team on our way to the start of the 2025 NWSL season. And today we are talking NC Courage. The Courage finished in 5th place at the end of the 2024 season, 39 points, 12 wins, 3 draws, 11 losses, and a goal differential of +6. Their biggest offseason acquisition last year was midfielder Ashley Sanchez, coming in a trade from Washington Spirit. So far this season, North Carolina Courage has said goodbye to forward Haley Hopkins. She went to Kansas City. And forward Victoria Pickett, she is on loan to the Northern Super League in Toronto, the league that'll kickstart in a couple weeks. And then forward Caroline, the Brazilian international, has headed over to the Women's Super League to play for Manchester City. But Sean Nahas did bring in some players to fill some of those holds. Midfielder and U.S. Women's National Team player Jaedyn Shaw over from San Diego, and also forward Hannah Betfort from Utah Royals have been added to the North Carolina roster because preseason has already started. But we have to look back at 2024, and North Carolina made the postseason. They finished 5th. They had a chance at the postseason, but it was an interesting year for the Courage to find their footing, Darian. When you think back to 2024 under Sean Nahas, what stands out to you about this North Carolina side that either they did really well or things that they needed to sharpen up?
They were missing Caroline so much. We go on and on complimenting the way that North Carolina plays and how aggressive they are. And it's this beautiful style of soccer. And I think it elevates players' games so much. But when you can't score away, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect your offseason, or excuse me, playoffs, your ability to make playoffs at some point. And I think that's what we saw with North Carolina, just the struggle of barely making it, being in and out. That confidence is really difficult anytime you go away from home, hearing us broadcasters talk about it and knowing that energy is spoken about with you and around your team and around the culture of the team, that we're struggling away and we're trying to figure it out. And they had a lot of injuries as well. It was just kind of an unlucky season because I think if they had Caroline leading the helm for majority of the year, we wouldn't be talking the same. So the fact that they now have signed Jaedyn Shaw, they've let Caroline go to Man City, which I'm still sad about that, but I get it. It's a really good move in the right direction. I am so excited to see Jaedyn Shaw and Ashley Sanchez playing together. This is going to be a team that's fearful in the front line. There's the ability to score goals. They have a little bit more depth. They're signing players that it doesn't just fall on the shoulders of their starting 3. They can actually rotate a little bit more and there not be, a drop off or a difference in threat going forward. So I'm excited to see how they come out this season and maybe where Shaw fits on the pitch with this side. Is it the 9? Is it the 10? It's a versatile team to go play with, to play both.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most, honestly. I'm wondering that if that's going to be a bit of a strength for this Courage side, the fact that there's already those layers of unpredictability for them. Where is Shaw going to be? How is that going to look like? How are they going to play? They have a style of play. We have seen the Courage at this point a couple of seasons under Nahas and his coaching staff and what they want to present on the pitch. But when you bring in these sort of dynamic players, it adds that extra layer. And so when you can, yes, give your team a formation, tactical adjustments that they can buy into, and an identity that they can lean into, that's important. We know how important that is. But sometimes along the way, it can get a little predictable. Sometimes very odd things can come up, like injuries can play a role in shaking that up, and a very weird away streak where you can't get wins on the road can maybe kind of mess things up for you. But getting Shaw, I think, maybe does the opposite of that. It adds in that extra layer with that unpredictability that could be potentially a good thing to tip the scales the other way for this Courage side. So I really like their offseason. I thought the pickups were great. I mean, obviously Jaedyn Shaw is the huge one, but I think making sure that they got Manaka back on contract to kind of continue to build with that very young player, I think was very, very important. Making the acquisition for Hannah Bedford, I think, is really, really cool. And who knows? I mean, because they made some of these bold moves, maybe that leaves the window open still in this preseason for them to try to maybe make some more additions as well.
The offseason acquisitions for North Carolina are huge with Jaedyn Shaw, but the hole that they have to fill without Caroline and frankly across the board, I think the lack of depth in 2024 with North Carolina was their biggest Achilles heel because they just couldn't keep up. And we're not even talking about like going on the road and not being able to pick up any points for a majority of the season. If I'm going into this year, I am not talking about road games at all. I'm just avoiding that like it's the and just focusing on tactics and style and what we can do and building relationships. Like it's not even a conversation because that is 100% a mental game. And if you don't even address it, it can't be there. That's what I think. Avoidance is real. But it's I would say we're not even talking about it. It is
leave
so
leave it in the
crazy.
past.
Yeah, just leave it in the past. We're done with it. But depth is a huge thing for this team. I also am very interested to see how they work attacking wise, like what the style is going to be. Because last year in the offseason and talking with Sean Nahas ahead of the college draft, he talked about how he was so um passionate and knowledgeable about the style that he wanted his team to play. And he had film on it. He had a good understanding of what that was going to look like. So he could show players, whether they were in college or looking to trade or transfer into North Carolina, exactly where they would play on the pitch and exactly what their role would be. And for a player like Jaedyn Shaw, that's a huge asset to be able to watch film with a coach and know, okay, this is exactly what he wants me to do, whether I'm playing the 10 or the 9, or maybe I'm playing out wide. There's so many different roles for them to play. So I hope that this is a group that just feels so confident in what they can do because it's a side that could go very, very far in the postseason, Darian. What would it take for them to win a championship this year?
Oof, a lot of consistency. At least I think you hit the nail on the head. With them just needing depth. I think that due to the injuries, due to Caroline being out last year, a lot of that pressure to score fell on the likes of an Ashley Sanchez or a Tyler Lucy, and they just needed more. They needed something else, more individualistic players that can maybe make something out of nothing. I mean, every team needs that because the game is tough. No game is the same. And NWSL especially is unpredictable. So you need somebody that can just put the team on their back and go score goals. Um, I think that consistency and also developing players and having different ways of scoring that's not just, getting end line, getting crosses in, but how are you building? We've seen this from the North Carolina Courage with these beautiful buildups that result in shots and shots on target, but it just has to be put away. So I think last year, honestly, gave them a little bit more of an edge. That's something to look back on and say, hey, we fought tooth and nail through injuries, through ups and downs, through a struggle stint away from home. They've got that in their back pocket now.
Who's
And
the
now they
player?
can build on that home. I think it's going to fall of who can score goals.
Yep. Who has to step up and do that?
Jaedyn Shaw. You don't have that name and everything around her without being a player that can put the team on their back and do that. We saw that at the W Gold Cup, and we didn't have that expectation of her to go in and score a plethora of goals. Now we do, and she made this move to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited to see more from Courtney Vine, Olivia Wingate. These are players that were starting to find their groove a little bit. Bianca St. George, I think there was moments last year where we saw this explosion of talent and confidence and skill from St. George that I would love to see consistently this year.
Also, fight.
All the yellow cards.
Yes.
Yes. She's coming in. She's going to get a yellow.
Pass them out.
5-card yellow card suspension
It's also gonna
before the summer.
Gomis as well. Yeah, Gomis as well as another player.
It's also gonna be year 2 for some of those players that you mentioned. I think of Courtney Vine specifically. I mean, it's gonna be different, and perhaps different could be better. They're gonna have those experiences of 2024 to go off of it to 2025. So you want to do that as a pro athlete. You want to make sure you smash what you did last year and set those goals. So I'm very eager to see those players kind of play a role as well.
Brianna Pinto, that's a name in the chat someone dropped, huge last year, where she took so many steps forward in her game, continue that development. We did a poll on YouTube, as we usually do. How will the North Carolina Courage do in 2025? Half of you, 50%, say that they're going to make the playoffs. I love that. I think they can as well. It's a championship winning
I
side.
love that.
34% say a deep run in the playoffs. 11% say that they can win the whole dang 3% of you are non-believers, say they're not even going to make the postseason. We'll see. Countdown is on. It's 30 days,
Wow.
I believe, until the start of the
Coming up.
NWSL season. Absolutely insane.